Welcome, fellow storm riders. You are officially a rider on the hypnotic storm that is raging worldwide, blowing away poor technique, washing away insanity, stupid trainings, and a wide variety of script readings. This is session 65 of Brain Software, and I'm Mike Mandel, and with me is a man who, his eyes are still recovering from surgery. He has successfully defended his hypnosis trainer certification, and he's going to play beach volleyball on Christmas Day.
Yes!
Welcome to the middle of the Port Perry Hypnosis East Octagon, the man who's been called more things than you can imagine, a man who the RCMP knows more about than they're willing to release, Chris, the limber one, the golden boy, Thompson.
Yes, we are here.
Oh, what a morning it's been.
We are just excited to record a podcast because it's been a while, hasn't it?
It has.
So this, 65, it has been... Oh, it's been so long since we've recorded a podcast. We should talk about how long it's been again.
Yeah, maybe say it again. This has been an interesting while. We have just completed Architecture of Hypnosis November at University of Toronto. We had a sold-out group again. Some amazing people. We had Moose from all the way from Singapore. We had Renee from Germany. We had Layla and also Chris from the UK. Chris is coming back to do his master's in May, which is almost sold out. We are on a roll, man.
Yeah, and of course we had our usual variety of Canadians and Americans.
Yes, and all the usual hilarity and the zany fun that develops when you put those people together.
People from David out in Newfoundland through to... Did we have anyone from Vancouver, British Columbia? We did. Yes, we can't remember. A whole bunch of people. Anyway, all kinds of fun.
Tell me about your eyes recovering from surgery.
Yeah, so 3 weeks ago, as of tomorrow, tomorrow will be the 3-week anniversary of my laser eye surgery. And unlike most people who get something called LASIK,
he did the wrong one,
where they cut a flap in your cornea, fold it back,
which works,
and then they use an excimer laser to reshape deep within the cornea, and
in the very colon of the cornea,
and then they put the flap back and hope that it's sort of like getting Saran wrap to be smooth, trying to re-roll it onto the roll or something. So, but they apparently are able to do this, and that's how
they did in my case.
That's how LASIK surgery works, and my understanding is about 2/3 of the people out there who get laser eye surgery get LASIK. I had something called PRK. Don't ask me to say what it really stands for, but PRK is a surface ablation technique where they use like these drops that are kind of like nail polish remover for
Isn't it peripheral radial keratotomy?
Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, it's sort of like you're breaking into my metaphor there, though.
Sorry, buddy.
Imagine using nail polish remover drops for
your eye,
for the epithelial skin on top of the cornea, the epithelial layer of
Does
tissue.
It hurt?
No, it doesn't hurt at all because they put drops in your eye first that completely numb your eye.
Good thing too, because they're firing a laser at it.
Yeah, exactly. Then they take the epithelial layer off of your cornea, so that they can use the excimer laser right on the very surface. They reshape it perfectly, and then they put a bandage contact lens that you see through for a few days while your epithelial tissue regrows, and then you have about a 5 to 6 week period where your vision starts to sharpen up. And right now I'm halfway through that process. So
you're getting the sharpening, which is the point.
Yeah, starting to see real well, and I'm very happy I did it. Don't have to wear glasses anymore for our live webinars or for driving for reading or for anything. Sports, volleyball, beach volleyball on Christmas Day. No glasses.
Let's talk about that. Beach volleyball on Christmas Day.
Never done that before. So my kids are really loving the game of volleyball, which excites me because it's my favorite sport. And so we're going on our very first ever resort vacation where we won't be here for Christmas or New Year's. And I bought...
So your wife Clemnestrata, your children Gloxinia and Joelle.
That's hilarious. Yes. So yeah, we're going away to the Dominican Republic.
Oh.
I used Amazon Prime to order a brand new beach volleyball, and we're going to deflate it and put it in our suitcase.
Are you going to hypnotize people when you're there?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You're going to be wearing the shirt, the colors.
Yes, I will be wearing the Mike Mandel Hypnosis apparel, which we are now proudly displaying and
as
giving
apparel, in fact. Now let's just.
Did I say it wrong? I said it wrong again.
Well, wrong is too strong.
It's
Incorrectly is probably closer to the
apparel.
I think it's really interesting. The last training, there were many things that stand out apart from the awesome group. The funniest thing to me was Renee from Germany came in the morning with a Kleenex around his finger. And we're at St. Michael's College, University of Toronto, surrounded by trees, right downtown Toronto. Beautiful nature, lovely. And he comes over and he says, "Look at my finger for me." And he
pulls back the
Kleenex, and it's blood in it. and there's puncture wounds in his fingertip.
Oh, no.
And I immediately sort of cringed, and I said, what happened? He said, I got bit by a squirrel. What? I've lived here my whole life.
Never got bit by a squirrel.
So I said, how did that happen? He said, I was feeding it, and it missed, and it bit my finger. I said, buddy, we got to get you to the hospital, get you a rabies shot. And he said, what's rabies? I said, oh, man. Anyway, as you know, Raheem was nice enough to take him to Mount Sinai General Hospital. They gave him a tetanus shot and went online and determined he did not need a rabies shot. And we're hoping he's not foaming at the mouth right now, but Renee was a great student.
Yeah, it's funny because around here at this time of year, the squirrels are collecting all kinds of food to
which
bury
apparently
away.
They can't find
Which
again.
I suppose you can turn into a metaphor here now, can't you? Yeah. So if you go to feed a squirrel and they're used to being fed by people in this area, they will assume you have food for them. And if you don't, they're either going to bite you by accident or because they're pissed off.
Right.
Maybe the latter. So it's just a little nip anyway.
I've never been bitten on the ladder. Okay, let's what else we got this.
What are we going to talk about?
I tell you, man, there's something I want to talk about because this came up in the last course, and this is such great info for those of you out there who are hypnotists who are also doing a bit of mentalism. I have done this. I did this at an M5 meeting, which is a Toronto mentalist group, and absolutely nailed a guy. We used to go around New Year's, meet in a Chinese restaurant. About 12 mentalists would meet together. The number kept growing.
Oh, I know this story.
You do?
Yes.
And we'd share effects and things like that, and we'd all make predictions for the coming year, and then we'd open the ones from last year, and they'd always be extreme, like, Henry Kissinger would be abducted by aliens and discover he was a woman and stuff like that. So someone said, show the dancing hair. Now, there's a really serious guy at our table, and I had been shown the dancing hair by Mike Super, who's an amazing magician, and Michael C. Anthony in Swiss Chalet having lunch once. They did it on me, and it's a total scam. It's a great trick to do on someone and really freak them out and annoy them all to hell. So listen carefully. All you need is a salt shaker, a glass of water, a restaurant table,
credit card,
and a hair. And although the hair is actually optional, as you'll hear. So what you do is you say, have you ever seen the dancing hair? And the guy's sitting opposite you, and he goes, no, what's that? And you've been talking about mentalism and things like this, so everybody's primed for this. And you say, well, Bill Nye, the science guy, tipped this on the web. If you saw it, please don't tell anyone how it's done. Now, why am I saying that, Chris?
Because it seeds the idea that this is based on science.
Right. It seizes the concept. It's a scientific thing, not just some weird, stupid trick. So everyone's waiting to see science now. And you take out the credit card. I have an Amex Platinum it's defunct. I haven't used it in years. But I use that because it looks so flashy. And it's got a very wide magnetic strip on the back, which is great. So I say, let's pour some water on the table. So the guy's opposite me, and I pour about a quarter to half a cup of water right on the table surface.
Yeah, you're making a pool of water that's about the size of your hand.
Yeah, between the two of us. So then I say, now we need some perfectly ordinary salt. And I'm emphasizing perfectly ordinary. And I hold the credit card number side down, so magnetic strip is up on an angle, and I pour the salt, sprinkle it down the magnetic strip without pointing this out. So the salt is running down the magnetic strip into the water. And at this point, you'll see people sort of do knowing looks like,
science people are like, I see what he's doing
magnetism.
There.
Yeah, I see he's putting it on the magnetic strip. So now, you say, let me just consolidate the water. So you take the credit card and you start moving the edges of the water, pulling them in with it, back and forth, both sides.
Keeping the water
restrained with the credit card, pulling it all in. You say, now I need an ordinary hair. Now, if your hair's long enough, you pull a hair from your own scalp, or at least you pretend to, and you drop it in the center of this water. And then you hold your right hand over it, palm down, about 3 inches, 4 inches above it, and you say, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the dancing hair.
So that you're making it seem like your palm, which is palm down, just a few inches above the water, is doing something to the hair.
Right, and you say, the hair rises up. But there is no hair there. You're just describing stuff that isn't happening. It rises up, and you move your hand in a circle. You say,
moving your hand in some magical manner.
Right. The hair turns counterclockwise. The hair lies down again. It rises up again. It moves counterclockwise. But because there is no hair, there's nothing to see. And because you've sucked them in, the guy opposite you tries desperately to see this miracle.
So, of course, he moves his head really close to the puddle
really
of the
close,
water.
often removing his glasses to see, in which case you slam your palm of your hand in the water, thus driving a stream of salt water into his eyes.
Which is hilarious.
Brilliantly funny. I showed it to Joey and them at the pub, and I'm sure they've done it on a dozen people since. So anybody who's interested in mentalism to any degree, set this up as a pseudo-mentalism or mind magic thing. You're hinting at science, and it brings a great rush of hilarity.
Yeah, now I remember why you brought this up, of course, because Joey and Jeff were at the restaurant with us during lunch break.
I was trying to get them on your
class.
healing eyes with it.
Yes.
A stream of salt water in those eyes. We would not let them do that, Chris. But that's why, yes. So what else is on our agenda?
If you
can do the dancing hair on someone and have us see it, if you video it.
It's
and
fun.
Make a YouTube video, send it to us. If we like it, we will send you a wonderful download.
Oh, definitely.
It's a prize.
Something will be awesome. So we just had a nice lunch. This is an afternoon recording, and as we were on our way out to lunch, we stopped at the mailbox, and there was yet another gift in the Port Perry mailbox. This time, not from a past student,
from the legendary Neil Strauss himself.
Which was awesome. So Neil has just published a book called Truth, and there's a subtitle which I can't remember entirely what it's about. But it's an interesting book, which was actually, this is really cool timing because we just finished The Architecture of Hypnosis, and I believe it was Ryan who was telling us about this book and how fascinating
Ryan
it is.
from San Francisco
area, right. And so we go out to lunch, and I got an email from the guy who runs my mailbox service, and he says, "Oh, there's a package in here for you." And it's we show up. It's addressed to Mike Mandel Hypnosis. We open it up. It's an Amazon package, and Neil has just sent you, Mike, a copy of this book.
Amazing.
Which we have just heard so much good things about.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to reading it. Maybe in a future podcast, we'll offer a review.
Yes.
Which will, of course, be...
I opened it at random. It looked very interesting.
Yeah.
Very unusual.
Let's just say that, yeah.
We'll be getting to that later on.
So we want to thank Neil for sending that. That's just phenomenal.
What else do you want to talk about here, Chris? We have a lot of stuff going on.
I think we should... So there was something that we did not end up getting to talk about today.
Right, the timeline.
On our... Right. So just for those of you listening in, every month Mike and I do a webinar, what we call open frame webinar for the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy subscribers, where we go through all kinds of hypnosis questions and answers. And we started bringing in topical discussion. So every single month, instead of just answering questions
or talking about stupid things,
right? We're now bringing in a deeper dive into a particular topic that is related to hypnosis. So in this case, we talked today about phobias and how to deal with an entire session running a hypnotherapy client through a session to do with helping them cure, essentially, their phobias or eliminate their phobias.
Or somebody else's phobia.
And we also meant to talk about NLP timelines, but
we ran out of time.
So let's talk about it here. We can still bring it up with our students next month, but I think NLP timelines are a really important topic.
Well, they certainly are, and you've got to realize...
How we code time.
How we code time geographically in space. It lends itself to many, many interesting things you can do to have a better life. First of all, let's say that we are not talking about the trademarked version timeline therapy by Tad James right now. We're talking about the generic timeline system that was taught by Richard Bandler and others as part of NLP training. And this goes back to my initial training when I learned it from my trainers, Chris Dunkley and Deanna Sager back in 93. And so that it isn't Tad James's system, but I think Tad James has done an amazing, amazing job.
Probably improved
on it. So we highly recommend, if the topic interests you at all, pick up his course and his master course in timeline therapy, which I'm sure you can get from neurodynamics.com or something like that. But anyway, the whole idea is that if I say to you, Chris, when were you last, at your cottage or something? You have to have a way of knowing when that happened. You have to have a way of knowing that it happened some time ago or in the summer and not this morning.
Yes.
Right? So we know we had lunch today. We didn't have lunch there 5 years ago. It was today. Your brain codes events geographically in time, or time events, temporal events in space. So it tends to put them out there, either in front of us, behind us, or to the sides. And this was actually one of the inchoate forms of therapy that became mindscaping. It developed with other things into mindscaping. So if you say to someone, where is the past for you, if you were to point to it? Mm-hmm. And they will point to a direction. Typically, they'll point either behind them or off and to their left side if they're right-handed. Now, or maybe left and slightly in front. But realize that we all have to have a way of knowing when things happened, as I said. But this intrudes into our language as well. So we say things like, oh, he's already put that behind him and moved on. You know, like he's forward thinking. All of these things indicate that we do tend to imagine events in specific locations. So if someone says the past is behind them, you say, and where would the future be for you? So they'll point, and it's generally in front of them. And then you say, so if they've said the past is to the left, where would the future be to you? And they point, and it's usually to the right. Either a V formation, so the past to the left, coming back to now, and then off to the right, or an arc or a straight line. The point is, we put things in different places, in different areas to make sense of them. So the longer ago an event happened, the further in the past it will tend to be. Likewise, the further in the future a particular event is, the further away from your body it will be as well. And even where we code, and realize there's no way of doing it wrong, no way of doing this incorrectly, where do we code the future? Is it off to the side? How far away does it go? And when you code the future in the distance, do you see a long, long line? If it's going directly in front of you, does it go off to the distant horizon, or does it end pretty soon, which is not a very empowering future? And what about the present? Where is that? Is it directly in front of you, a little square in front, or is it where you're sitting or standing? Is the present where you are right now? So typically, there are through-time people and in-time people. A through-time person sees or perceives the past off to one side, the present directly in front of them, and the future off to the other side, like flipping the pages of a book, as Chris is
What did you
doing
call
right
that
now.
one? In time or through time?
Time.
That was through time, okay.
Yeah. An in-time person perceives the future as primarily in front of them, the past is mostly behind them, maybe over their shoulder, but behind them, and the present is right where they are. And there's a difference in how you code these events, how they will affect your life. For example, if you are an in-time person, as I am, because the present is where you actually are, you can jump into events like you're jumping into a time frame in a film strip. You can jump right into a memory and experience it again. And the advantage of being through time is because you're perceiving it as a book or something in front of you, you can flip the pages. You can see your events in front of you very clearly. And people who are always late, people who have difficulty making it to appointments on time, whatever, if you change them to through time, that's often enough to fix it.
How do you change them?
By having them switch it. So you say, if I take the ends of this, like the one behind you, and swing it off to the left, and if you're doing this with your hypnotic voice, without even needing a formal trance, you're having them just try on a different timeline and see how it works for them. How does yours work?
Mine, and I can't remember now which one you said was which, because I was just flipping through this NLP book in front of me to figure out which one, because these are meta programs in NLP,
right, they are.
And I am whichever one is past is on the left and the future is on the right.
Then that tends to be a very organized person.
Like you read a page from left to right, and the future to me is on the right.
Okay. So that tends to be very well organized because you have it in front of you like a daytimer, and you are very well organized. And mine is much more freeform. Just jump into an event. Now, the weird thing about it is when you start eliciting someone's timeline, including your own, you can ask questions like, is it level? How far does it extend? Is it colored? What does it look like?
And these are submodalities,
These are submodalities. So if the person says, oh, the past is really dark and dingy and weird looking, you say, are there spaces in it? And if there's blank spots, there's often abuse there that they can't consciously get. You want the future to look better than the past, no matter what. You want the sky to look brighter. You want maybe a sparkle on the path. And these are all things you can change intentionally, including how do you code the memories? How do you know what a memory is like on that timeline? What does it look like? Is it a crystal ball like some people have, or a snow globe? Is it a little video you're watching, or is it a still photograph? And you can actually pull events out of the timeline, rewrite them, and put them back in, and they wind up changing everything.
So people can go through this even without any formal hypnosis training whatsoever and just have a conversation with somebody that they know and ask them about a past event and
Yes.
something on their timeline. So what you can figure out what their metaprogram is. Do they code in time or through time? And then ask them about a pleasant memory from their past. Find out what some of the submodalities are around that.
Right.
And then maybe ask another set of questions about something that isn't so pleasant and just change the timeline, right? And make it seem more like the pleasant memory.
But realize when you change an event on the timeline, it will tend to ripple right up to your present and out into the future as well. And it's a very...
So they get to carry those changes with them.
For sure. And it's an interesting exercise. If you have rapport, the changes will stay. If you don't have rapport, as Chris Dunkley told me, the changes will go back again. The brain will switch them back. But here's an example, Chris. I was working with a guy in Australia. We were sitting in a cafe back in Sydney one evening late in King's Cross, which is a pretty interesting area of the city. And this is a guy who's got all the creativity in the world, amazingly creative. He had an idea for a Qantas commercial for the airline. This is just typical of him. And it's, fly Qantas and, zero accidents and all this, and a wonderful airline. And then, the soothing voice. And at the end, everyone exits the plane and the pilot unzips a zipper on his face down to the floor and a kangaroo gets out. That's freaking amazing. And it's sitting there behind the wheel of this plane. So this guy's ultimately creative, really smart and funny as hell. We travel together a lot there, but a lot of his stuff falls apart. Even when he follows through, things go wrong, the income doesn't come in or whatever. I elicited his timeline. The past went out behind him, fairly typical. The future, he said, was vertical, like a drawbridge.
Oh, like he's never going to be able to get there.
Right, covered in broken glass and sharp nails. And he said, and I'm walking on it with no boots. Now, what kind of empowering future is that? Well, totally disempowering.
You'd just stay where you were.
Pretty much. Or things that you would do that would attempt to move forward would implode and fall apart. So I got him I pulled the end of the drawbridge down so it clicked down into place, swept off the glass and the metal shards, and he said, it's popped back up again. I said, okay, imagine it clicking into place, like the sound of a BMW door slamming. So you push it down and...
Or maybe a Tesla Model S.
Well, I was going to say, but they didn't exist then.
Yeah.
So it popped up again. This guy had a polarity response. He would undo himself. He was a mismatcher. That's another meta program, right? So this time, I pulled the trap door down in front of him, clicked it, and then released it and forced it back up. And he said, it's popped down flat again.
So he mismatched.
That's what it took. It took letting his mismatch program run. But when you make changes in someone's timeline, you are changing the very fabric of a huge part of their personality. So make your changes careful, judicious, and see what happens.
Now, when we map this through to, say, mindscaping, which is something that I know you say you didn't invent it, you more discovered it, but I think you're being too kind and or not kind enough. I should say, what's the word I'm looking for here? Modest, thank you, modesty.
Well, Chris, I've been accused of many horrible things in life, but modesty is not one of them.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you did invent mindscaping. You have used other techniques to model and create this tool, but it's a wonderful tool. Anyway, re-landscaping the architecture of your internal mind.
Right.
And when you do mindscaping, where you effectively have somebody imagine what's in front of them and imagine what's behind them and the sky and the sidelines, etc., and you don't ever tell them this, but isn't it always interesting how the future is always forward and the past is always behind them?
Yeah, it's
so
startling.
There is no other meta program
with the mindscaping. We have not found one yet. In fact, even the stuff off to the sides, Hugh Comerford from NLP Centers Canada said, what's the stuff off to the side? I said, it turns out to be side issues.
Yeah.
And he said, of course, stuff that's there, but it's on another mindscape.
Could be
it's
stuff
not
growing
relevant to this topic.
Could be stuff growing in a ditch at the side of the road and people are imagining a road in front of them that goes somewhere, and maybe there's a barrier that's preventing them from getting to that wonderful beach or whatever it is that they want to get to. And you ask them what's in the side, and they'll say, just a lot of weeds growing in the ditch or something like that.
Remember, I said the one guy said there was a sudden drop-off, and he didn't like it, and he put a rail up. And then when he fixed all the mindscape, when he looked down there, he said, it's fine now. He said, it's just it's the ocean, beautiful sunny day, and there's sailboats down there.
Yeah, the side issues had completely changed. Like they weren't relevant to his life anymore.
Weren't relevant to the story.
Right, which is really interesting. So what can people do with timelines, NLP timelines? Obviously, as we alluded to earlier, you don't need to have any kind of formal hypnosis training or even NLP training.
If you have rapport, you can change them. And I would always look to ensure that their future is long and robust.
So if somebody has some sort of issue, they're complaining about something going on in their life or whatever, you can have them just do a little experiment with you. Let's pretend we're going to do an interesting guided imagery experiment here. You can frame it like that. So you're not calling it anything like NLP.
Nothing
You're not calling it hypnosis.
Right.
You can just say, hey, let's do a neat mental exercise. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine, or I want you to pretend whatever it is, right?
Yeah, imagine you can see your future.
Right.
Well, you're going to elicit the entire line first.
Right.
Have them float up above it, which is crucial to get the dissociated view. But, for example, Chris, looking at how you can change this kind of thing, as you know, I was bullied incessantly as a kid and beaten up many, many times. Many, many, many times. And what I did was, in my spare time, over a couple of sessions, went back in the past over my own timeline.
Fixed your timeline.
Fixed my timeline.
Beat up the bullies.
Beat up the bullies, found every one of those events. Mine are slides. They're colored slides. Lift it out. When you lift it out, it becomes a movie.
Right.
So I'd watch the bully beat me up and everything. Then I'd rewrite it, make a brand new slide of me kicking the living nonsense out of the bully.
Yeah. Stick it back in the slide
Drop
deck.
it back in, and then watch the ripple effect go out into the future. If you pretend to do it, it's exactly the same as doing it. And it brought in much more congruence into my life and much more fearlessness of other human beings. That's, of course, the British Jiu-Jitsu helps that too.
Yeah, true. So you can do this on yourself. You can also have a conversation with a friend or anyone who in your family and just help them work through some issues just by imagining. Just pretend, just imagine. And you want to obviously get them to go through some yes sets. Oh, so you've had this issue for a while?
Right.
Yes, I have. And the issue is bothering you in such and such a way? Yes. Okay, well, just close your eyes. I want you to imagine such and such. And then you get them to do compliance sets. Tell me, is the past to your left or is it behind you?
Right,
Something
so by
like
answering,
that.
they're telling you.
And they're now complying with your requests, right? So that you're segueing them towards
take a deep
some
breath
sort of...
now and tell me what else you notice. And if they say that the future is really sloped, you say, well, how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Well, not very good. It feels too challenging. So suppose I end of it way out in the future, your distant demise from this earth, decades into the future, and pull it down flatter. How does that feel? That feels good.
Right.
So why don't you go ahead and leave it like that?
And you just frame everything like an experiment, right?
Yeah.
Let's just try this on. What would happen if you'd imagine that your future was to be flat instead of be arced upwards or whatever it is? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
What would you do?
Awesome.
Good.
So
what else we got here?
Well, we don't actually have a whole lot else to talk about on this podcast, so I think we should close it off because we're going to start getting back on a regular time frame of doing these suckers every 2 weeks. And now that we have the new year coming
I got a
us.
metaphor for today.
All right, let's hear it.
But let's also start with let's give the empowering question.
All right.
Here's the empowering question, because this is the end of 2015. And my empowering question for you is this. What is going to make 2016 the best year you have ever had? And what are you prepared to do now to make sure that occurs? What is going to make 2016 the best year you have ever had? And what are you going to do now to make sure that that occurs?
Awesome.
Here's my metaphor for today, Chris. It's the story of the cottage this summer. As you know, we have a cottage up near Minden, Ontario, and some of you have seen the pictures of it. It's beautiful on Big Bob Lake, which is spring-fed and clean and pristine. And it has been wildlife central up there in the last couple of years. We ran into a wolf. Didn't run into him. He ran across in front of our car. A huge wolf. We have seen deer and multiple turkeys and squirrels and an otter and all kinds of interesting wildlife. But the night before we came back from the cottage to close it up in October, my wife and I were sitting in the living room. It's really a cabin, as you know. I could have said not much of a cabin, really, just some bits of cardboard stapled together and dipped in vinegar. But it was a cabin, and my wife has done a spectacular job in tidying up. So we've got to get your wife Lorelaya and your kids Gloxinia and Tamarin there sometime, and you'll love it. But we're sitting there late one evening. The sun had gone down. We're having a glass of wine. My wife and I and two other people we know, Dave and Val, who have a cottage up the road on the lake as well. And the storm door was open, which is just a sheet of glass, but the storm door was closed, and the inside door was wide open. And Val, who's looking over my shoulder, says, "There's someone out there. There's an animal. I think it's a bear." And we're like, "Whoa, really?" So I went to the window, and sure enough, there was a black bear looking in the window. It put its hand on the glass, its paw, and the mark was there the next day. And I thought, this is awesome, because of my short story, The Bear. And my wife is saying, don't go near it, shut the door. I said, I've got to see where it went. It disappeared from the door.
So knowing you grabbed a flashlight.
So knowing me, I grabbed a flashlight, thought, well, I'm going to go out and have a damn good look.
Yeah.
And, of course, it had gone down the road by that time, as I presumed at any rate. And I went and stood outside the cabin, and it wasn't there. And I looked way down the road, and it wasn't there. And I looked down the road the other side, and it wasn't there. So I walked around the corner, like the whole length of the cabin, turned the corner, back where you park your Tesla. And 6 feet in front of me, the bear is standing
right there staring at you.
Right there, looking at me. And something passed between us for an instant. And in that moment, I realized I am much closer to the bear than I am to the door. And even though it was a young bear, it was still probably 350, 400 pounds. And I went back and closed the door. And Tesla, our Bengal cat, went nuts all that night. He knew the bear was shuffling around outside and snuffling. And he hung out for about 24 hours in the area. And that was the first time I've ever seen something that wild, that close.
This has been Brain Software Podcast, episode number 65 with Mike Mandel, and I'm Chris Thompson. Hope you enjoyed the show. We are back on our regular routine of publishing these suckers every 2 weeks as of right now, and we look forward to publishing number 66 for you soon. Head on over to MikeMandelHypnosis.com. Check out all the stuff we've got for you. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and write a rating and leave us an awesome review. And...
Hey kids, it's the
Honey Hallmark Show.
Honey,
It's Honey Hallmark,
the girl who loves greeting cards. It's Honey,
It's Honey Hallmark,
the girl who loves greeting cards.
She's got frizzy red hair and she drives a school bus, but she's no different than the rest of us, 'cause she's Honey. She's Honey Hallmark, the girl who loves greeting cards.
Stop singing and finish your homework.
The girl who loves greeting cards.
What are you doing up in your room?
The girl who loves greeting cards.
Hey kids, Season 1, Episode 2 of the Honey Hallmark Show. A great episode for you when Honey picks up a second job driving bus for the local transit system to make some extra money for Christmas. Texting the Hallmark greeting company while driving, she smashes into a fuel truck, rolls the bus, and 16 passengers die. Honey is unharmed, but a number of people have burned to death, and there's a class action suit and criminal charges for negligence and highway homicide. Imagine the zany fun that develops when Honey goes to the mall to buy an apology card for the families of the deceased, only to miss her morning in court. The Honey Hallmark Show.
This program has been provided to you for your enjoyment and entertainment entirely by voluntary contributions and forced donations from the Canadian Association of Shopping Mall Santas, who we're not saying haven't been inappropriately charged with improper leering and grinning and the complete absence of erectile dysfunction in a public space.